Yeah, we got. Okay. Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. And we have no introductions, I don't think. Except for the sound person back there, I don't know who he is.
Is there anybody online?
What?
Ryan.
Ryan.
He's part of
Hi,
our
Ryan.
IT department, yes.
Is anybody online?
I don't know.
Don't know.
We stream it, but we don't monitor that.
Oh, I thought it was, you're zooming.
No.
Resuming?
Two watching.
No?
Oh, okay.
Okay. We need approval for the minutes from October 26, 2021.
I move we approve the minutes.
I have a second.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved and accepted. We need the approval of the fiscal year 2021 annual audit.
And our finance director, Linda Morrison, is here, and you should have a hard copy of the audit packet at your seat. And I'm going to turn it over to Linda just to give us a brief overview.
Sure, thank you. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep.
Very good, very good. This financial report is also on the website. If anyone wants to go and read about it while we're talking about it, it is available under the audited financial statements section of the city's website in the finance department. But the independent CPA firm of Raymond Robson has given the LDDA, which is a component unit of the city, an unmodified opinion for the financial statements for the year ending 6/30/21. That's the highest form of assurance that can be given for a financial audit. And the city, too, received an unmodified opinion on the overall financial statements. These component unit financial statements are included in the annual comprehensive financial report of the city as a whole. They're on pages 51 to 55 of the great big huge audited financial statements of the city, and that also is on the city's website in the finance department section. For ease of reading, in the smaller document, the LDDA document, there is a management discussion and analysis on pages 4 and 5. It provides kind of a brief summary of the financial statements. But the unrestricted net position as of 6/30/21 is $120,434, which is up $20,155 from the 6/30/20 balance, primarily due to there was $25,000 of rent for the billboard out on Beckley Road, the electronic billboard that came to the LDDA. So that goes right into the fund balance of the LDDA. It was earmarked. There is $46,648 of the unrestricted net position that's committed for capital projects and is set aside in the portion of the fund balance. And that is the same as it's been for quite some time. That balance has remained the same. The notes to the financial statements provide a lot of good information about the LDDA, and specific to this year, note number 6, which is not exactly the same as it was last year, that's on page 14 of the document, talks a little bit about the pandemic and the potential impact, known or unknown, to the city as a whole and to the LDDA. Does anyone have any questions about the audited financial statements? Feels like a long time ago now, June 30th of 21, and
Yeah.
we're talking about,
does.
yeah, so.
Anybody got any questions? Then do I have a motion to approve the fiscal year 2021 annual audit?
So moved. Support.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Nope. Motion is carried. Annual audit, the annual report for 2021.
So I'll just keep on talking about numbers and about, this is a report that is filed with the Michigan Department of Treasury every year. It has been filed already. It really is numbers directly from the audited financial statements. We reconcile those. Total revenues of $2,076,593 and $2,056,438. This report does give additional information and details about captured values and captured millages, so just a little bit more detail as required by the Michigan Department of Treasury. Any questions about the annual report?
Do I have a motion to accept the annual report for 2021?
So move.
Second. Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. That motion is carried. Then we need to do an adoption of fiscal year '23 budget.
And Mr. Chairman, I'll let Linda talk about that just a little bit. If you're looking for it in your printed packet, it's just page 3. If you're looking at your digital packet, it's page 24, simply because the audit is included prior to that.
Oh, yeah, right there.
So, our annual budget's a pretty simple document to look at, primarily because, as this group knows, most of what's captured is then redistributed to the various taxing units that contributed. Linda, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to what we have on that page?
We pretty much balance the revenues and expenditures every year. The tax incremental revenue is based upon taxable values and captured millage rates. We do a calculation every year. That's not taking into consideration any tax tribunals or any kind of adjustments that might be made for entities that might make appeals, but that's assuming that the taxable values are as we have predicted, with total revenues for the fiscal year upcoming that will start July 1st of '22 through June 30 of '23. The tax capture is projected to be $2,052,254. We typically budget a little bit of interest revenue. There's $4,000 of interest revenue for the money that's sitting in the fund balance of the LDDA and what that might earn over the course of the year. There's a little bit of professional and administrative fees that they're paid to the finance department, $3,000 for the audit, and then those unexpended funds that go back out to the jurisdictions for revenues equaling expenditures and no budgeted addition or use of fund balance for the year.
So how do those values compare 22-3 versus 21-22?
They have gone up, yes, yes.
It may be worth noting, as Linda indicated too, that these these projections don't necessarily include any tax appeals. And as you can probably anticipate, we are in the midst of a fairly major tax appeal from the mall property. So that likely is going to have some impact on these numbers.
Okay. Any other questions?
But the majority of the revenue that comes in goes right back out to the jurisdictions. And so if there is an appeal and a settlement of an appeal, that just would reduce the expenditures as well as reduce the revenues.
Sure.
With the new occupants at the mall, were those sales or were those leases?
No, actually, in both instances, the properties were sold.
Okay, so now we have a value at least for those.
Yeah. And as they get redeveloped, obviously, that should improve over time.
Do I have an approval for the budget?
I move to approve.
Do I have a second?
Support.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion is carried.
Thank you.
Project updates. Request for proposal, Detour Routes.
Yeah, you will note that there is a document in your packet that is basically the scope, an outline scope for a request for proposal for consulting services to, essentially, I mean, it's no mystery, again, to this group that as the retail landscape continues to change in our community, it's certainly created challenges along the Beckley Road corridor, and we see that no more is that prevalent than what we see at the mall and the challenges that they have had. And as a result of that, we thought that it was prudent at this time to maybe think about doing a little reimagining of that entire corridor. Rebecca and I have been talking quite a bit about, could we, we mentioned a minute ago that most of what the LDDA captures is just passed back through to the taxing jurisdictions. Do we need to recapture, or do we need to reactivate that capture? And do we need to look at the development plan for the LDDA and think about what we might do to help revitalize the corridor? And we thought that a good starting point would be to bring a consultant in to take a look at what's going on now and go through a fairly comprehensive and community-driven and business-driven engagement analysis of the corridor and what it might look like or could look like for the future. And we were very fortunate to find a very similar corridor near Des Moines, Iowa, that had almost the exact same characteristics of the Beckley Road corridor in terms of the number of businesses, the business types, an older mall that had lost anchors, and a variety of conditions that were very similar, and we were able to model this RFP after what we saw take place there. And I've seen, they haven't finalized their plan yet, but it's a very aggressive, and very impressive final document and a re-envisioning of that corridor. And again, we thought if we could initiate some work along those lines, that would inform what a future development plan amendment might look like for the LDDA. So we wanted to share that document with you today. I'm not going to get real deep into the details. Hopefully you'll have a chance to look at that. We are still working on identifying some funding for this particular effort. We don't know exactly where that's going to come from yet, but it is something that we think is desperately needed along the corridor to help us, again, rethink about what that could look like in the future, given the changes we continue to see around retail. And I think that future probably would reflect, a lot of mixed-use development, more housing, a lot of creative ways of approaching what currently exists. So again, I didn't plan to go into detail on that. I welcome any questions that you might have. Hopefully you'll have an opportunity to review it, and we'll continue to work on identifying some funding to go forward with the project.
You saw the results of the study in Des Moines?
I've seen some preliminary results.
So they're not moving forward with anything at this point?
Well, they haven't finished the whole project yet, so I don't know if I can say where they're at in terms of what they do with the plan once it's finished. I just know that it was a pretty good representation of what we would like to see in a re-envisioning process of the Beckley Road corridor. I mean, they had an entire land use plan associated with it, just kind of laid out parcel by parcel what future development might look like, what types of developments might occur there. I mean, obviously, the current district exists within certain zoning classifications. Do we need to change some of that? I mean, it was a very there was a stormwater review, a traffic analysis. I mean, just a number of components to this plan that we think that could be helpful on Beckley Road.
So the LDDA is only concerned with the area that's west of 66, right? The rest of that's Emmett Township.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, there is a very small chunk of the district that crosses 66, but for the most part, yeah.
Oh,
6
yeah.
Mile is the border. Yeah.
Sorry, what? 6 Mile is? Oh, okay.
So anything,
I see.
and probably
example, if you think about-
Walgreens and
Yeah, if you-
Starbucks falls in our property.
Exactly.
yes,
Exactly.
Okay,
And the Sam's Club.
and the Sam's Club.
Yeah, and Sam's Club. Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
So, yeah, we do have some input on the other side, but not too much.
A little bit. We certainly do hear about that light right there.
So again, we present this mostly just for informational purposes at this time.
Yeah.
We would welcome any feedback that board members have.
And we'll have to, everybody should take, because I have not seen this yet, and take it home and read it.
The other thing I would just mention quickly too, we did include the detour routes on the back of your page. Don't forget that they're in calendar year '23, they're going to go after the Capitol Avenue Bridge. So, obviously that is going to be, a disruptive project in the short term for benefit in the long term. We have been negotiating with MDOT throughout this whole process on how that would be handled in terms of traffic. And, their original proposal in order to speed the process up was to simply, shut everything down. That didn't really work from us from a public transportation perspective or a few other perspectives. So we've been negotiating with them to keep lanes open across Capitol as they do this. But as you look at this list that's included in here, you can get a feel for, when things will be open, when things will be closed. There aren't dates on this yet because they haven't finalized those, but it gives you a sense of, you can see the time frame. Some are as short as 14 days, some are as long as 8 months. So it's going to be a major project, obviously.
So the future will still have traffic lights, right? We're not going to do roundabouts like.
I can't say I have seen the final design, but I haven't seen no version of the design that it included a roundabout. Mhm. I don't know that it would look radically different than what you see today. Most of the designs I have seen are fairly consistent with what you see today. Rebecca, I don't know if you've seen anything different, but
No.
So are they replacing the whole bridge?
they are.
Yes.
Okay, not just the deck, they're
Yeah, the whole thing. Yep.
the whole thing. Whew. That is going to take a long time. Anybody else got any comments or questions?
We don't have any control over that. MDOT does everything, right? I've never understood these bridges. The one in Kalamazoo is a good example. They've got $80,000 or $100,000 rigs sitting there for months at a time that don't do anything. Somebody's paying for that, and it just doesn't make any sense, but I don't know.
I think it's fair to say that, our Department of Public Works folks try to influence the process as much as possible, given our limited jurisdiction. But you're right, it's MDOT's project, certainly not ours. The other thing I would mention too, Linda talked just briefly about the lease payment for the billboard that's on the property right in front of the city's water tower. While that's not technically LDDA capture, it is money that we have earmarked for the LDDA. And you may recall at our last meeting in October, we've accumulated a couple of payments now. So we had $50,000 set aside, and we talked about some projects along the linear path and some signage and those kinds of things. Most of that will probably occur now that we're in a little bit better weather here in the spring.
So that billboard that's it's close to the turn by Sam's Club, I think, but it's it's east of 6 Mile, so that is.
That's not ours.
No, it's the one,
Yeah. Ours
But
is
that's
the
right
one.
about on the border.
Yeah,
So Emmett Township gets that money.
must be, yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know who owns that particular one.
I'm
But
assuming
then
the
there's going
gas
to be some sort of
station,
lease or,
but-
yeah.
or whoever owns the property for the gas station.
That could be.
And, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have for project updates.
Okay. And we have no public, and yes, so there's no public comments. Any board member comments?
I could just say that the 4 properties we have, 3 on Capitol and then 1 on Beckley, knock on wood, have been doing really well. So I don't know that that's going to dictate that, hey, signs to come, that, good things are going to be out there. I'm optimistic on the mall. I think the report and RFP that's being sent out is probably a good thing as well, too. I think someone's got to focus on it, and this is going to help get us to the next step to see what kind of visibility is out there from these professionals as well, too. So, for the
I mean, a study that we're talking about.
study, yeah.
So you think it's worthwhile type of thing?
I do.
I
think-
always
mean,
worry about studies, because then, and then they just sit in a file cabinet and collect dust or something.
It needs attention, you know,
Yeah.
and I don't know what the city has or if it's a particular developer, but I think we need a comprehensive plan. And sometimes it becomes a fire starter. I'm not saying that that hasn't happened. I think I'd be lying if I did, but at the end of the day, it does need attention because that corridor is important. And it's, you know, the mall's hurting, you know, and so it's, but it's just not Battle Creek, you know? I mean, you cited a community that was very similar, but there are a lot of similar communities that are going through this, especially with the mall.
All retail's going through it.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter where.
yeah.
Go to Washington DC, which I don't know,
Yeah.
they have problems too. Go to their-
But again, you know, our retail centers are doing well. I think we have one vacancy of 1,400 square feet on probably close to 85,000. You know, so,
Yeah. That's good.
yeah.
Do you think that Beckley, I mean, at this point, to me, Beckley Road is basically a highway. It's an east-west highway. And do you think that it'll ever become something different than that? Do you think that with gas at $6 a gallon, and would there be bike lanes and, you know, walking traffic? And I mean, what's the future look like? I don't know. Right now, the only reason to go on Beckley is to get someplace else, it seems to me, other than, like you say, your stores where you're going to go to the bank or you're going to go to the whatever, you know.
I mean, I think Beckley is still looked at as the stronger and preferred retail corridor. You know, certainly east of 66, I mean, it's a power center, you know, and you have hotels and hardware and what have you, and maybe a little bit more neighborhood shopping center going to the west of 66, and even the small stretch on Capitol, you know, that we have.
Yeah.
And so, you know, so I think I think when retailers, brokers come into the market, they look at Beckley. And if Beckley looks really bad, I think the type of retailer that's going to look at it as a tertiary market probably wouldn't come, honestly, you know, unless, you know, the demographics, it checks the box. But optics are important, you know, optics are important.
I do think you'll notice too, as you look at when you get a chance to look at the RFP too, there are a lot of kind of pedestrian-oriented elements or
Yeah.
analysis that goes on as part of this. And I mentioned I've seen some of the preliminary results from the analysis in Des Moines too, and they certainly have included a lot of pedestrian-friendly infrastructure in their reimagining of the, you know, of the corridor. Who knows what would come out of this plan, but, you know, to your point, Dave, you know, I don't know, a road diet or other traffic calming devices and pedestrian crossways or whatever that might look like would all be, I think, part of the analysis.
You know, I've said for years is we've always needed some identifying Battle Creek stuff around Beckley corridor. You know, I've had people pull off the highway, and this classic story, I was in the gas station, they asked for directions to Battle Creek, and, you know, they were here. But, so, I mean, like, if we redo the bridge, I think they were talking about putting Battle Creek on the bridge and maybe having some Welcome to Battle Creek signs around. We keep going through that all the time, but it'd be nice to know that you're here when you
We are
get
going to
off the
spend a little,
highway.
we are going to spend a little extra money.
Yeah.
Make sure that you know when you see that bridge, like you've seen in other communities, that you are now in Battle Creek and being welcomed to Battle Creek.
But, you know, it's been tough out there because that's federal and state, I guess, that controls most of that. And remember, I mean, we tried putting in all the daffodils and all that, you
Yeah.
know, and then they just come along with their lawnmowers and just chopped it all down, you know?
Yeah,
So, you know.
I'm just saying, you know.
Right, oh, yeah, I know, but I mean, you got to fight them to
Yeah.
get probably even permission to put a sign up, you know?
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
I mean, when you come down 66 downtown, you know, the Welcome to Battle Creek is all the way at the end of the penetrator, and that's,
Yeah,
you know, you're in Battle Creek when you get off 94, you know?
right. Good luck. Any other comments? Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Support?
Support.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Meeting's adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.